Israel's military confirmed it carried out strikes in southern Gaza yesterday, with the IDF saying it was in response to an attack earlier in the day that injured 5 Israeli soldiers. This was the scene as a fire broke out in a tent encampment following that strike. It's the latest incident of violence testing President Trump's ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas that went into effect in October. And it comes after Israel announced it would reopen the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt in the coming days, but only for people to exit from Gaza to Egypt. Officials in Egypt, however, denied they are coordinating with Israel to reopen the border crossing, adding that if an agreement is reached to reopen the crossing, movement would have to be open in both directions. Joining me now is the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Yechiel Leiter. Ambassador Leiter, thank you so much for being here.
Good to be with you, Kristen.
We really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you here. I want to start off by talking about the state of the ceasefire in Gaza right now. How would you describe it? Is it still holding? Do you anticipate it will continue to hold?
Very hopeful, but concerned. We're delighted that the administration was able to maneuver into a ceasefire, get almost all of our hostages released. We still have one body that we expect to bring home. We're waiting for that so we can move into phase 2, which is the disarming of Hamas and the demilitarization of Gaza, which will open up a whole vista of hope, both for the Gazans and for Israelis.
Well, you say you're concerned. Tell me what the root of your concern, what your potential skepticism is at this point.
You know, the West very often miscalculates, misunderstands that there are people with ideas, ideas that are very often very hostile to the West, very hostile to Israel. And Hamas believes, I mean, they're an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, which was just outlawed and sanctioned by the president through an executive order. And they believe in the destruction of Israel. Yeah. And they're not actually coming and delivering their arms and saying, mea culpa, we made a mistake, we'd like to live side by side. They're still committed to this idea of repeating October 7th. We can't let that happen. We can't have jihadis at our border. So hopeful, yes, but concerned that it's going to be very difficult to get Hamas to actually give up on their arms and admit defeat.
Well, the Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry says 350 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since the October ceasefire went into effect. Is Israel still committed to abiding by the terms of the ceasefire?
Well, of course we're committed to abiding by the terms of the ceasefire. But, Christian, you just quoted the Gaza Health Ministry. I mean, that's like quoting, you know, MS-13 Social Welfare Ministry. I mean, these people are terrorists.
What number would you say? How many people do you think have been killed since the ceasefire went into effect?
We hope it's a minimal amount as possible. We're not interested in killing people. We're interested in providing defense for our civilians that were slaughtered on October 7th. And if they come over the line with guns, which they do constantly, they pop out of these tunnels that they've built, these terror tunnels that they built with international funds. They pop out of nowhere and shoot at our civilians and at our soldiers. So we have to return fire. We're trying to limit it as much as possible. We want the ceasefire to hold. We will do everything we can that the ceasefire holds. But we're not going to allow Hamas to reconstitute their terror intentions.
Do you think that the terms of the ceasefire have been violated on either side at this point? Because as you say that you're firing in self-defense. But given that there has been this level of violence, is that a violation on either side of this ceasefire?
You know, firefighters often use force to put out a fire. We're not on equal footing. This is a terrorist organization, and we have an army that belongs to the democratically elected government of Israel. We are intent on keeping a ceasefire, but we're fighting with terrorists. And they lie, and they cheat, and they kill.
Let me ask you about the Rafah crossing. Egypt says it will only open the Rafah crossing if movement goes both ways, both in and out of Gaza. What can you tell us about the state of reopening the Rafah crossing? Will it be reopened both ways?
First of all, it's really important that finally Egypt is agreeing to the Rafah crossing being open and that people can leave. During the course of these 2 years of warfare, there were many Gazans that wanted to leave but couldn't because Egypt refused to open up the crossing. So if it's about to be opened, we're very enthusiastic. And I think the issue about if it's two-way or one-way will be discussed with the Egyptians. We have a delegation actually in Egypt right now as we're talking. less publicized, but actually we're talking, and that's what's very important.
Well, you know, the 20-point peace plan does say the Rafah crossing should be open in both directions. Given that, is Israel committed to ultimately making sure that it is open in both directions?
Of course. We just have to be ultimately committed as well that guns are not once again being transported to the Hamas inside Gaza through the Rafah crossing. We have to make sure the Rafah crossing is secure.
You talk about the challenge of implementing this next phase. Hamas laying down its weapons, as you say, is going to be one of the toughest parts of that. How do you work with your U.S. partners to actually make sure that happens? And do you think that it's possible?
I do think it's possible, but it's not just a matter of laying down the weapons. There are 300 miles of underground tunnels. They're terror tunnels that were created by Hamas. They have to be destroyed. Otherwise, the arms are going to go down below. It's not only machine guns. We're talking about shoulder-range missiles. We're talking about all sorts of weapons that have to be destroyed and taken out of the hands of Hamas. Hamas cannot rule Gaza again. I think that the fact that the 20-point plan that President Trump implemented calls directly and unequivocally, unambiguously for the disarming of Hamas means that we're on the same page and it's going to get done. And that's why we're so hopeful.
Okay. All right. Ambassador Leiter, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen. It's good to be with you.
Great to have you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.